She did have some difficulty.
Please come to the table. Can the defendant for the trial please come to the table? Not you, the defendant for the trial. Please come to the table.
She did have some difficulty getting enrolled in anger management because she was on the verge of losing her job. However, that has been resolved, and the timing of the anger management courses or classes are now such that there's no conflict with the job. And she attended the first session as it was yesterday, actually, of the EVA program for anger management. So she is doing that. As far as proof of outpatient treatment, she has found a trauma therapist and is paying out of pocket $100 per session. She has sent me proof of payment of 2 sessions, one being on May 2nd. The other one was on April 18th. So she is in therapy.
No, she's not. She's not in therapy. She's seeing a trauma specialist, but that is not what Judge Baltimore ordered.
Your Honor,
outpatient drug treatment.
Well, that's news to me that it was drug treatment. She's also been, she also was in therapy earlier in the spring. There's a third payment that I have proof of. Maybe there's some misunderstanding as to whether she's supposed to be in specific drug treatment. But the fact of the matter is she is involved with a mental health professional. So from my standpoint, what she is prepared to admit to is one positive test in December, that being a positive test for alcohol and a positive test for marijuana. She is not prepared to admit responsibility for any positive testing for alcohol in January because she maintains that she did not drink any alcohol in January. I don't know where that result came from, but I'd ask that. I'm sorry?
There's no challenging of January drug test in May. The time to challenge the January drug test is in January.
Well, Your Honor, nobody brought this up in January. This is the first.
Don't interrupt me.
I apologize.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I apologize.
Okay, don't interrupt me.
Understood.
When a person takes a drug test, that's why it's important for them to wait for the results of the drug test, because there is only one opportunity to challenge that drug test. So the fact that you're coming in May saying we didn't know about the results, she knew she took a test, and therefore it was her responsibility to get the results of the test. I'm gonna tell you this: if I feel again, okay, never mind. To get the results of the test, a person has to take the test. They stay there, they wait for the results of the test. If they leave before they get the results of the test, then there's no way for them to challenge the results of the test. So we're gonna move on from this issue. And this is what the court is gonna say. Number one, the only treatment that is acceptable to the court is treatment that has been approved from probation. That is why individuals have to report to probation, they have to get referrals, they have to confer with probation, and they have to get their things approved through probation. You just can't go and do it on your own. You have to make sure that whatever you signed up for is what was ordered by the court. It sounds to me like there's a lot going on here and not communicating with probation. And I'm not interested in things people are doing on their own. I'm only interested in the things that are approved by probation. So Ms. Martin needs to contact Ms. Bryson and shore up what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, what Ms. Bryson has, what Ms. Bryson doesn't have. I can't imagine leaving a meeting with my probation officer and being unclear about what I have done, what I still have to do. That's the whole purpose of coming or a meeting with the probation officer. When I do a review, it really shouldn't take this long. Because why? I'm not the probation officer. I don't want to be a probation officer. I don't want to receive a copy of a medical marijuana card. I don't want to receive proof of therapy. None of it. I don't want, those things are not in my job description. Those things are in the job description for the probation officer who is supposed to meet with the defendant on a monthly basis. So those things need to be forwarded to Ms. Bryson. Ms. Bryson has a supervisor. His name is Derek Farmer. Derek Farmer has a supervisor. His name is Wright Wade. Wright Wade has a supervisor. Her name is Chanel Daniels. Chanel Daniels has a supervisor. Her name is LaWanda Crosby. LaWanda Crosby has a supervisor. His name is McConaughey, William C. McConaughey. William C. McConaughey has a supervisor. It's the Supreme Court. Come on. I mean, I don't want to be the probation officer. It's too many layers in there that we can address these issues. So if Ms. Martin tested, she should be getting the results of her test. She shouldn't be just testing and leaving the results be out there in the world. She should be getting the results of her test. I come in, I take a test. What's my result? How long is it gonna take for me to get the result? Should I call you for the result? Do I wait here for the result? Because there's only one opportunity to challenge those results, and it is not 4 months later in court. It is not. It is not. So I'm saying that probation is saying that she tested positive for a prohibited substance. And I don't know why Judge Baltimore, in my absence, ordered no alcohol. But he did. And as far as I'm aware, there has been no request for that to be altered. I don't know the facts and circumstances of the case because he did the sentencing in my absence. So what I need is a medical marijuana card to be on file with probation. Otherwise, she's going to be violated for the marijuana. What I need is no positive alcohol test. What I need is her to continue in the anger management. She needs to confer with probation to make sure that the treatment that she's receiving is in line with what Judge Baltimore ordered. She will continue testing until that testing is discontinued by the court. She is scheduled for a final review. It has to be in November. What's her final review?
November 12th.
Oh, we gotta change it. I'm not here. So we're gonna, the review is gonna be November the. It's not in the envelope. Who got all my instructions? Let me, okay. Okay, give me a, all right, November the. Let's go November 1st. Additionally, okay, November 1st at 10 a.m. Anything further?
Your Honor, no, I just want to note for the record.
I can't hear you.
I would just like to note for the record that my office will assist our client in communications with the probation department, because my understanding is that much of the information that the court is directing to be provided had previously been provided. I'm not here to split hairs over that, but I'm gonna be involved in this, so we'll make sure that the court and probation has everything that it needs. I appreciate the court's time today and allowing us to get to the bottom of this. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Antonia, call the office, please.
Thank
been expected. Something that looks good, yours.
I'm not. Yeah. So I would have planned, sorry.
Okay, this is with respect to, case number, the jury trial. You understand? So this is with respect to case number, it's not on my docket, it's my. I remember. All right, so this is with respect to case number 2244403031. The jury sent the note, and I went in the jury room for the record, and, I went in the jury room, cause I didn't know that they didn't have envelopes, so I need, officer to go to get envelopes. They need more envelopes. So we gotta always make sure they start out with 10 envelopes. So let's get some envelopes to them, officer, Mr. Flanagan.
I think so, so, yeah.
Oh,
I came back down again, Mr. Flanagan took them down there.
okay. Okay, y'all gotta wait for me. Y'all gotta wait for me, because a couple of things going on. Number one, I never swore in this other officer. That's been involved, so I gotta swear you in. But number two, so how many envelopes did we send?
Only at the last 3 items.
Okay, so I want 10 envelopes to be given to the jurors. The other part of the note is that they want a private viewing of the video so they can talk among themselves. So what I was going to do is see if I can I didn't bring my laptop. So I was going to call IT and see if there's an extra laptop where we can put the video on there. I told them I'm getting ready to start a trial, so I can't bring them in the courtroom and let them, you know, do the video. So does that sound like a good solution?
It does, just the only issue about that is that the application that I use to play the video, I don't know if that laptop.
What is IT?
um,
You ain't, what application you use?
Just,
We got that.
yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just have to wait until after this trial, and then I can bring them back in here, and we could play the video. I didn't really want them to get access to they can't have access to her computer, but they want to be able to discuss the video as they watch it.
And I don't have a problem at all with that, Your Honor. I am concerned, I know that, it
Let
was,
me ask this question, why is that light flashing on her table? You know?
I don't know. I didn't know, so.
Okay, go ahead.
so I guess I would just want, since I don't know that only the one file would be placed onto the laptop that they're gonna use, if there's some assurances that the only file they're gonna get is that one that was entered into evidence, and I'm okay with it. But I know the way that I received the discovery videos, it's a big compilation. It's that video and others that were not admitted.
I don't know. I admitted the video. And I'm certain that it can be isolated.
I would just want the assurances that it's understood.
Call IT and ask somebody. Call IT and ask the coder. She comes to my court if he's here. All right. All right. Whew. Unmade.
No, I got kicked out of the court.
Okay. This is case number 234489201, people versus Brenda Lee Jones, defendant is charged with assault or assault and battery. Today is the day set for trial. Appearances, please.
For the record, Your Honor, Christina Rivera on behalf of people.
Janice Stevenson.
Ma'am, please be seated.
Janice Stevenson appearing on behalf of Ms. Brenda Jones. Ms. Jones, ma'am, nice and loud, please say your first, middle, and last name.
Brenda Lee Jones.
Today is the day set for trial. Are the people ready to proceed?
Your Honor, the people are ready to proceed.
Is defense ready to proceed?
Defense is ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Are there any preliminary matters before we proceed?
Judge, none of this.
Well, actually, I'll take that back, Judge.
I don't know if my OIC, I didn't receive any information that my OIC was present, you know, to go sweep the whole way to make sure.
Okay, did OIC check in? No?
No, so that came in this morning and I was back to look for him, I don't know evening.
All right.
So, yes, this is a matter of personal for sequestration of any witnesses.
Motion for sequestration to grant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Will
Yes, sir, very brief. So the witness needs to be.
Your witness needs to be in the hall.
Is your, you can step out in the hallway?
Before you leave.
Okay.
With respect to the jury trial, my response to the jurors is unfortunately your request cannot be accommodated. Would you like to view the video again in open court? It doesn't say open, it says in the court.
I have no judgment.
All right, that's fine, I'm gonna put this on the list. Just give it to the officer, and then officers come forward. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that you will take and keep the jury in the manner prescribed by law, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, with respect to Ms. Jones, the people may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, this case before the court today regards an incident that happened back on April 27th of 2023. It stems from an altercation, a physical altercation on the elevator where the defendant and the complainant witness both reside at River Towers Apartments. Your Honor, today, the evidence that the people will provide to the court is testimony from the complainant witness, Ms. Helen Gentry, and she's a 95-year-old senior citizen that lives in the River Towers Apartments. She'll be testifying and telling the court what happened on the day of April 27th, 2023, Your Honor. And I'm just asking the court to just listen carefully to the testimony from the complainant witness as she described what happened on that day, Your Honor. And I'm also asking the court just to keep in mind the jury instructions and advise jurors or the trier of fact to judge the witness's credibility based on the testimony. And that's what I'm asking for from this court today, Your Honor. And once the court hears the testimony from the complainant witness, the people are asking the court to return a verdict of guilty on count one assault. Thank you.
On behalf of the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. We believe the evidence is going to show that on the date of this incident, Your Honor, at 7800 East Jefferson in the city of Detroit, which is a senior housing building, Your Honor, the evidence will be limited to a showing that Ms. Brenda Jones rang for and entered into an elevator where Ms. Gentry was located, that there are no prior confrontations between Ms. Gentry and Ms. Jones, no subsequent confrontations between Ms. Gentry and Ms. Jones, that as Ms. Jones is entering the elevator, Ms. Gentry makes a comment that Ms. Jones is supposed to let people get out of the elevator first. Ms. Jones ignored that comment. Ms. Gentry got out of the elevator and called Ms. Jones a name as she walked down the hall. And that is the extent of the interaction between the parties. And we're going to ask at the close of the proofs that the court find Ms. Jones not guilty.
Okay. Before you begin, Ms. Jones, I'm going to ask you to have a seat on the front row. Ms. Royal Douglas, I'm gonna ask you to come up to the table. Officer, you can go tell Officer, I just forget his name.
Officer Bennett.
Yeah. Let them know we can bring you. No. They have her. It's a whole bunch of individuals upstairs. Okay. Outside. Oh. You can start getting there. Okay, you could also bring in the people's witness. Is that your first witness? That you can bring in the people's witness and let her sit, she could just come on in. You could let her sit. Miss, Jones. Miss Jones, I want you to sit on the, third row. Go sit on the third row for me.
Okay.
Bring the witness in and put her on the first row on the end, down here closest to the door.
No, I had updated it, so I updated
Oh.
it yesterday to have a jury trial on it. I just didn't. send
Oh,
it.
I didn't bring, oh.
My.
All rise for the jury.
Ma'am, remain standing. Ma'am, remain standing. Okay, stuff out here. You're going back in the jury for a minute. For all this stuff, they have to be finished. All right, and the fourth person, can you stand? That the verdict form in your hand, just hold it for me. Mhm. And then pass it to the court officer. All right. Madam Court, I said madam, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I've been messing up all day today. Mr. Foreperson. Please, read the verdict form from the point that it says, we the jury find, or we the jury in the above. Read it from that point.
And then stop at the associated note.
Yes.
We, the jury in the above captioned case by unanimous decision, find the defendant guilty, so say we.
And guilty of, does it say on there?
Guilty of retail fraud, third degree.
All right. And Mr. Foreman, was that and is that your verdict? Was that your verdict?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Juror number 1, was that and is that your verdict? Juror number 2, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 4, oh. So you're number, yes, you're number 3. Juror number 3, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
And juror number 8, was that and is that your verdict? Thank you all so much. So I am gonna have you go back to the jury room. And we're gonna bring you your certificates and then I'm gonna come in and just talk to you briefly. So, you'll be gone in a minute, in a few minutes. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
All rise for the jury.
Oh, I never told them to sit down. We all been standing. We all been standing. See, I told y'all, I don't know what it is today, y'all. We all been standing up the whole thing. All right. Okay, you may be seated. You may be seated, and then actually, no, be seated right there. Go ahead and be seated. All right, Ms. Roy Douglas, you can stand, you have to stand back. So, the jury has found you guilty of 1 count of retail fraud, 3rd degree, therefore the court adjudges you guilty and will set the matter for sentencing. I am going to set sentencing for you let the other 2 jurors know that they're released. Do I have any sentencings on that June 14th date? And how many cases do I have now? Because I've been filing them.
13 cases, 1 sentence.
All right, let's do June 14th for sentencing. I am going to request a pre-sentence investigation. And so while she's here, she's gonna go across the hall and schedule a pre-sentence investigation. So the officer will escort Ms. Royal Douglas across the hall. And they can schedule a pre-sentence investigation while she's here. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be heard as,
Ma'am.
thank you very much. So, Your Honor, during the, I believe at the time that Ms. Royal Douglas turned herself in, Your Honor, she did,
I need her to take her hand.
have some problems with her, living situation here in Detroit, Your Honor. So I would ask the court to give her permission to reside in Akron, Ohio, to only travel outside of the state of Ohio, just to come to the state of Michigan. The child that, Ms. Royal Douglas's child, who, she did arrange for childcare today, is actually in Ohio right now.
I thought she was only in Ohio because it was an emergency.
No, I moved there.
Oh, I know.
I would have to stand corrected on that, Your Honor. I didn't understand the entire situation with her son. She lives in Ohio, her son is in school. And so I would ask that she be given permission to reside in Ohio.
I don't think it's gonna happen. Let me tell you something. This has been one of the most difficult cases that I've had. In terms of dealing with Ms. Royal Douglas. This has been one of the most difficult cases. She doesn't appear on Zoom appropriately. She has not appeared on Zoom appropriately. Every time she comes on Zoom, we gotta sit straight. We gotta do it. She make all the same facial expressions and stuff she's doing right now.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? That's why it don't work, Ms. Stevenson. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It just absolutely doesn't work. And then probation is gonna schedule a pre-sentence investigation, and they're gonna want her to come in person. And then she moved to Ohio without the court's consent. You see what I'm saying, Missy? She can't even stand still and not, she can't. She
So-
can't. And so imagine this on Zoom. Imagine that we're on Zoom right now, that I'm saying something that she doesn't agree with. Imagine it on Zoom. Imagine.
Your Honor, my request was that she be allowed to live in Ohio, and then we would leave sentencing, of course, whether she has to come on Zoom or not, to the discretion.
It's too much. Like, it's literally too much. She literally, I mean, it's a misdemeanor, right? And I understand it's her misdemeanor. Yeah, but let's not act like this is normal behavior. For even the wrongfully accused and the wrongfully convicted of a misdemeanor, let's not act like her actions and her demeanor and her extraordinary, over the top behavior is normal, because it's not. And I don't know how to make a decision about Ms. Royal Douglas, because between trying to focus on you, I literally am trying to have a laser focus on you so that I don't see your client. It's just a lot, Ms. Stevenson.
I agree with that, Your Honor. But the court did order Ms. Royal Douglas to be present back in the state of Michigan by a certain time, and she did that. So I don't believe that there would be any problems with her coming to court as ordered. I would just ask that she be allowed to live in Ohio where she has
Let's
safe
do it.
housing.
Let's pass the matter. Let's pass the matter. Let's let her go gather herself and calm herself down so that I am not distracted. I continue to be distracted by your client. I continue to be distracted. So she's gonna go calm herself down. Maybe you could take a break in a minute and go talk to her. I don't know. But I'm not gonna deal with that on Zoom. So let me say that. I'm not gonna deal with that on Zoom. It'll be a replay of Monday, when I was trying to say that she needed to be in person, and she does not know how to articulate or to control or to manage her emotions. And it is disruptive to the court. So I'm gonna let her calm down, and then we'll revisit your request,
Okay,
so that I can think it through myself, okay?
thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Let me go dismiss the jurors. While I'm gone, you can have your witness come to the witness stand. Ms. Jones, you can return to the defense table. I'll be back, I wanna say in about 3-4 minutes, so I'll be back.
Judge Levin.
It should be, I don't know what to.
but waiting for her to maybe slide by or something so I can get out, but that did not happen.
Okay, so what happened next?
There was no one on the elevator, no one on the floor, as you can pan. Then I noticed she leaned back and stooped. And then she began to take that cart and run it towards me where I was standing. I had not stepped out of the elevator at that point.
Okay, so where were you standing at this point when she ran the cart at you?
I was standing in the elevator door was open, and I was just standing right there where the door opened, right in the middle there.
Okay, and what happened after she ran the cart at you, Ms. Gentry?
Well, when she started running the cart at me, I noticed that she was going to hit me with that cart, so I immediately turned. We're in my left side, trying to get out of the way of it. But being in my 95th year, I can't move like I did when I was young.
Okay,
So go ahead.
so what happened then?
The cart, that steel cart, broken cart, caught me in the side between my hip and that upper thigh.
Okay, and you said which side, was this your left or your right side?
Pardon?
Was this your left side of your body or the right side of your body?
That's the left.
Okay,
As I turned to the left, I was trying to get out of the way of it, and I couldn't get out of the way fast enough. And it caught me right there in the hip and the thigh, right between that area.
okay, now what did you do next?
What did she do next? She pushed me out, she pushed my body and pinned me up against
Subject is non-responsive. The question.
What happened next, Ms. Gentry?
Well, with the cart, she pushed me up against the elevator wall and began to press in a manly area as hard as she could.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
In order for me not to lose my breath and with adrenaline, I was able to squeeze out from under that cart and slide out of the elevator at that point.
Okay, now, once you got out of the elevator, did anything else happen?
I responded, let people out of an elevator before you come in. Those were my words that I said.
Okay, and then what did you do next after you got out of the
I
elevator?
did nothing. She was in the elevator at that time. She looked at me and called me, you are a bitch.
Okay,
Your mother is a bitch. She started a rant of profanity, almost in an insane manner.
okay, so without telling me what was said, Ms. Gentry, what did you do next after you heard these
The
profanity
elevator
words?
door began to close.
And what did you do after that?
So I went to my apartment right away. And I checked the area and immediately wrote up a report. As I'm a retired teacher, I put everything in writing. I immediately wrote up a report on this.
Okay, and then what did you do after you wrote that report up?
I kind of massaged the area that was damaged. Remember, it's night now, it's at 7:30 or something. And so I couldn't do anything but put some alcohol or something on it at that time.
Okay, and at any point, did you contact the police regarding this incident?
No, I did not contact police at this time.
Okay, so what did you do next?
Well, I had to go to the next day.
Nowhere.
Yes, the next day I called two sources. I called the hotline for elder abuse and also my primary care social worker, medical social worker concerning this incident for procedure.
Okay, did you contact the police, the next day?
Who?
The police?
No, I went by the instructions of these two professional people to contact the management before I contact the police. Because we are under a lease and they should be contacted first. And that's what I did.
Okay, now, at any point did you contact the police?
Oh, yes, eventually I contacted the police, I contacted the manager first, when she arrived 5 days later. And I contacted the police
Okay,
on May the 9th of 2023, 1 year ago today. I made a police report.
okay, and did you make that police report by phone or in person with the police?
I wrote it up and I carried it over to the 7th precinct.
Okay, where's that 7th precinct? Do you remember where the 7th precinct was located?
Yes, it's on Shane, and Hale. I think the short street is Hale, the 7th precinct. Hale and Shane is on the other side of it.
Okay, and then did you make a statement with the police regarding this incident, Ms. Gentry?
Well, I had the report written up, so I just handed it to the clerk there.
Okay,
And they said they would assign a detective to it.
okay, and the testimony that's given today in court, did you tell the police, essentially the same statement that you gave in court today?
Yeah, it's just about the same statement. Remember, everything's in writing,
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, just very briefly, Ms. Gentry, before this incident, did you know Ms. Jones?
I have seen Miss Jones when she first arrived in River Tower. I've been there for 30 years, and when people arrive there, you pretty well see them. I saw her because the moment she arrived in River Tower, she made a hangout in the lobby at the security desk. You couldn't miss her.
Okay, so you've seen her before?
Seen her immediately when she arrived because there was an incident wherein I did report her to the manager that same day. I don't know if you want to know the incident, but I reported her to the manager, Miss Murphy.
Okay.
That was the first day.
Okay, and prior to the incident on the elevator, did you have any other physical contact incidents with Ms. Jones?
Not physical.
Okay,
As I say, you don't want to go into a lot of details. I did not want to be near this person, keep away from this person, because I told her in private why,
okay,
So I kept away from her as far as I could. But the manager made her an ambassador, which is a volunteer, and so she's always was omnipresent in the building, on the floors. You could not miss her, even today. She's always in the building, on the floors, in and out. You cannot miss.
okay. Yes, ma'am. No, my last question, Ms. Gentry, is did you give Ms. Jones permission to hit you with that shopping cart on the elevator?
Oh my gosh, no. Oh goodness, no.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Gentry.
Good morning, ma'am.
So, Ms. Gentry, you've been in the Air Force, right?
Yes, I was a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force and intelligence specialist.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your service. Okay, so the elevator that this situation happens on is the freight elevator, Ms. Gentry?
Well, we call it our freight elevator because it's elongated so people can move their belongings in and out.
Okay, so is it the same size? How many elevators are there in your building?
There's three elevators.
Okay, is the freight elevator larger than the other two elevators?
Yes.
Okay, would you estimate, are you able to estimate how much larger the freight elevator is?
It's somewhat double the size because people move their things in and out. And the others are basically for passengers.
Okay, understood. So in the freight elevator in which you were riding, Ms. Gentry, the buttons to the elevator, the door opens, with the buttons, if I'm trying to go into the elevator, does the elevator inside have two sets of buttons so that you can go to your floor or just one set?
I think it's only one sector, on one sector. If you're facing going out, they're over on your left-hand side.
Okay, so if you're going out, the buttons are to the left.
Yes, the buttons will be to your left.
Okay, all right, so when you approached your floor, do you know you're going to the fourth floor, Ms. Gentry?
Yes, ma'am, I'm on the fourth floor.
Okay, and as the door opens, are you standing right there at the door, or are you standing over to the side near the
Oh,
button?
no, I'm standing right in the middle, because I'm gonna walk right out.
Okay, understood. All right, so, did you see anyone when the doors opened?
No, there was no one on the elevator or within the hallway.
Okay, so when you arrive at the fourth floor and the doors open, do you see anyone?
No, there was no one there. There was a quick panning by the defendant, see that nobody was around. That's the way criminal activity is performed. No one should be around to see you.
Okay, so when the door opens, do you see Ms. Jones?
Miss Jones and the cart, she has this cart all the time, many times, with packages in it, moving them around the building.
Okay, and you described it as a big steel market cart?
Yeah, like you see in the grocery store, they're big steel strong grocery carts.
Okay, okay, so is it, if you know when you go in the grocery store, sometimes they have the bigger shopping carts and sometimes they have the smaller shopping.
These are the big strong ones because packages, she deliberately rolled these packages around in these big carts. I'm sorry I do not have a picture for it, but when I reported to the management, they immediately got rid of that weapon. It's a weapon.
Okay,
This is a felony, this is not a misdemeanor.
okay, all right, so, the cart, which you said Ms. Jones has, is there anything in the cart?
As far as I remember, there was nothing in the cart at that time. As
Okay,
far as I can remember.
okay, so you recall the door opening and seeing Ms. Jones with an empty grocery store shopping cart?
That is the picture I have. When the door opened, she was standing there with this big steel cart holding it.
Okay, at that point, as of the date of this incident, how long had you known Ms. Jones?
When the word known, I don't know her.
Okay,
I just see her.
okay,
And she has been, you have to see the record. She's been there no more than about a couple of years. I've been there 30 years. She's been there no more than a couple of years and got immediately involved with the management to get, people hanging there, they hang in the lobby, they give them room, they hang so much, the management give them
It's
room
kind of
jobs.
a little bit non-responsive. This is important.
so, so this hanging with the management that you have described, did you believe that that was appropriate?
Judge objection, so relevant.
Okay, so you indicated that, I think I did ask though, at the time of the incident, you didn't really know Ms. Jones like that, you weren't friends or anything, correct?
I see her, I don't know her, I never talked to her. I never talked.
Okay, at the time, but you remember when she moved into River Towers?
Yes, I remember her almost 2 or 3 days when she moved in, I told her, I reported her to the management because she was getting involved in the personal business of the tenants right there at the security desk.
Okay, so how many people live over at River Towers, if you know?
Objection, that's the relevance.
I don't know.
About how many people, if you know, Ms.
There's
Jensen?
15 floors. And there are at least 30 apartments on each floor.
Okay,
So
so,
if you do the mathematics, it runs, there's 460 apartments. This is a big building.
yes, ma'am, okay. What is it that makes you remember within a couple of days of when Ms. Jones moved into the building?
Please repeat that.
Yes, ma'am. What is it that causes you to remember within a couple of days of Ms. Jones moving into the River Towers?
I remember it because I went to the security desk to ask a personal question, saw her standing there, wondered why, and I got the security person to come to the far side of the cubicle where I whispered the question. Before that security person could absorb what I said and answer, Miss Jones yelled the question across that cubicle. Her ears were so sharp, she could hear what I say, answer it, and I was shocked.
Okay, so you remember Ms. Jones moving in because you remember having a conversation with security and you remember believing that Ms. Jones interrupted your conversation?
Not believe she did.
Then
And
she-
right after that, I went to Miss Murphy, who is the community manager, and told her that a new person has moved in and is getting involved in the personal conversation between the security people and the residents. I reported her right away.
So within a couple days of her moving in?
Well, you know, I can't tell you exact date. I can tell you when I start seeing her. And
Yes.
she's been there ever since.
Okay,
Every since she hangs there at the security desk, sometimes 7 days a week, 8 to 8. Every time you come and go, you will see her. She was there. Okay.
okay. And how does that make you feel when you see her there?
Judge objection to relevance.
Oh, how did it make you feel?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
If you want my statement, I am a retired educator and social worker.
Ma'am,
I work
it's a little non-responsive, so the question is, how does it make you feel to see Ms. Jones at the security desk?
and it made me feel that the management did not vest the person before choosing them for that position, because for all the things that I observed, she was mentally disturbed.
She was mentally disturbed, so she would not be able to serve adequately as the ambassador that you referred to?
Yes,
Okay, all right. And so you indicated that you reported, the first time she interrupted your conversation, you reported that. Did you make any other reports against Ms. Jones?
Judge objection to relevance.
In response to that?
That goes directly to Ms. Gentry's, motive to, I don't know, have.
That's it, start with that.
That's what I didn't want to
You
say.
didn't want, oh, I thought you didn't say.
I didn't want to say.
Oh, what's only a couple of words to say? Oh, you could have said with a you. Motive to be honest.
Okay,
That's better than what you want to say? Okay.
okay, sure.
So she said it goes to the motive to be honest. The objection is over.
So now I forgot my question.
did I
Ask her how many other
ever
times
Oh,
that she reported her.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gentry, thank you so much. Okay, so how many other times did you report Ms. Jones?
Never,
No.
never, because I felt that from my experience as a social worker working with mental persons at the receiving hospital when I was 28 years of age on St. Antoine, I can detect persons who are mentally disturbed. And
Okay,
I never reported her again. I stayed away from her as much as I could, which is almost impossible in River Tower because she's omnipresent everywhere. I never reported her again. I just tried to stay out of her way because she was mentally disturbed.
okay, and so when you would see Ms. Jones about, when you would see Ms. Jones about,
Hold on, Ms. Dixon.
okay,
One moment.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay,
You
so
can continue.
when you would see Ms. Jones about the building, Ms. Gentry, is it Mrs. Gentry or Ms.?
Well, just call me Miss Gentry.
Ms. Gentry, okay, so when you would see Ms. Jones about the building, Ms. Gentry, what would you just describe some of the stuff you see her doing?
Basically, counsel, I try to avoid her as much as possible. In lieu of coming through the lobby where she hangs, we had 4 doors. If I didn't have a lot of packages and things in a carriage, I would go out other doors.
Okay, so when you did come into contact with Ms. Jones, what was she doing?
I try not to come in contact with her.
Okay, all right, I'm just
She's
having a little,
mentally disturbed.
well, how do you know that if you didn't have much contact with her?
I'm a social worker that worked for many years with mental patients at the Detroit Receiving Hospital within the wards, taking their statements of life and finances at 28 years of age. And I feel that I have just as much observation now at this age. I couldn't forget it. It's scary.
Yes, ma'am.
There were at least 20 mental patients, emergency patients, that I had to deal with getting statements for the county to get them paid. I can detect
It's a little.
people who have mental problems. And Miss Jones is not the only one. We got a gang of folks in there, in the building that, they're shaky,
Can you, okay, let me go to a different place. This carriage that you have, that you had a carriage with you when you were in the freight elevator, can you please describe that carriage?
Well, I wish I could have got a picture of that. It's a grocery type carriage you see in the supermarket. And it comes up, it almost comes up to my breast. I'm about 5'3".
You're taller
It's
than
made
I
of
am.
steel. It's made of steel. It is elevated.
Okay,
It has big wheels on it, a big handle on it.
okay,
So
so,
as I said, I wish I could have got a picture for her, but the management immediately tried to cover up for her. So that weapon, immediately, they got rid of those 3 or 4 carriages.
I'm gonna
After
interrupt
this
you
trial,
one
they'll
second.
probably put them back, but they got rid of them.
Ma'am, I'm gonna interrupt you 1 second, ma'am. Cause I'm not clear, I'm not clear if she's answering the question, and I am trying to take notes. So may I ask a question, right?
please.
Okay, I just wanna ask one. Were you just describing your carriage or her carriage? I just wanted to know, cause I'm
carrying her carriage, her grocery carriage that she had.
okay, but the question, so that we're clear, so that I'm clear. Well, so that we're clear, but the question is, what did the carriage look like that you had? That's the question.
Oh, what I had,
Yes, ma'am, okay.
Oh, I had a little the little small carriages, they're no more than about 2.5 feet that you just roll with your small packages, and I had a little small thing, right, that you carry.
Yeah.
It's no more than 2.5 feet, and about a foot wide, and you put your small things in it. That's what I had.
Okay, all right, so, so the carriage, the cart, I guess is better described, that Ms. Jones had that day. Are you saying that the apartment complex doesn't let people bring those by anymore?
Judge, objections are relevant.
Okay, so I thought, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Gentry, I thought you testified to A.K. Ritter that you had reported Ms. Jones to management on more than one occasion. Did I hear that incorrectly?
No, yes, you heard that incorrect.
Okay.
I reported her only once.
Just,
And when the management responded to what I reported, it made her an ambassador.
okay,
Made her an ambassador, and we have reported this interference of a person in confidential. What do you say? No way. That was it. I was through with that.
Oh, okay. And so from that point, you just try to keep your distance.
Yeah, just keep my distance. And as I say, the observation as the time went by, I made the diagnosis, she is mentally disturbed.
Okay, the observation of her moving throughout the building.
Yeah, that's her, yeah, she's omnipresent. You know what the word omnipresent means?
I think so. What do you mean when you say omnipresent?
I'm the only part of God, you're everywhere. Means, you know, prefix, you're everywhere.
Okay,
She's on the floor, she's in the lobby, she's everywhere outside. Recently, she's back and forth across the street where we have a party store, a liquor store, so.
Judge, just answer it.
Okay.
okay, so,
Is that
I
an
think,
objection? I'm sorry, Judge, objection or not?
okay,
His name.
so, Ms. Gentry, you did give, as part of your kind of report on this case and getting ready for the case, you gave a written statement, correct?
Please repeat that again, what?
A written statement, a statement in writing, you typed up a statement or whatever?
Yes, for the, I am a retired teacher. I do everything in writing. And, my attorney, bless her, she told me how to present myself because I had a dissertation to give to this judge to come in pro persona.
I'm sorry, you had a what?
A dissertation to give to the judge.
It's not
in pro
responsible.
persona.
So the question is, did you type up a statement? Well, I don't know that you said it to the police. Did you just ask her, did she type up a statement?
And give it to the police?
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I have everything.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, but everything's back there. I have everything.
Ma'am, I really appreciate, that you're a retired teacher. I really need you to answer just the question that's
Yes,
being asked. The question is, did you present a written statement to the police?
Yes, I gave a written statement to the police.
Ms.
Yes.
Stevenson?
Okay, did you also include like some medical reports or something like that?
Yeah, yes. I have a picture of the hematomas on my side that was caused by that chart. It should be in the record. I have them back there, big bruise mark of hematomas that smashed into that area that is still affected today.
Okay,
And I'm affected by
Okay,
it.
that's the answer.
That's
Ms.
okay.
Stevenson?
okay. Well, just very, almost finally, Ms. Gentry, do you like Ms. Jones?
I don't know.
Do you think well of Ms. Jones?
Objection, Judge, ask me answer. It's kind of the same thing, a different way to ask the same question. I'll just say,
You want Ms. Jones to stay away from you?
The court, 36th District Court determined that. If you look in your records, they said that Ms. Jones must stay away from me.
Ms. Gentry?
Directly.
Ms. Gentry? Ms. Gentry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The question is, do you want Ms. Jones to stay away from you? That's the question.
Yes. She's mentally disabled.
Okay, and so on the date of this incident, did you believe she was mentally unstable?
Absolutely, she's mentally unstable. I told you
She
that.
already answered the question. She's not gonna allow you to object nor to prosecute the case. She's
Okay.
gonna just keep talking.
So-
And I'm gonna let her. So
On
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop stopping her. And I'm gonna just let her. And she's not gonna let you prosecute the case. Ms. Stevenson?
On the date of the incident, you told us that Ms. Jones said something to you. Don't tell us what she said, okay? And she said something to you. Did you say anything to Ms. Jones?
Please repeat that.
On the date of this incident, did you say anything to Ms. Jones?
About it. Absolutely not. No. I said nothing to her whatsoever.
You didn't talk to her at all?
No, what I did after that interference, I quietly went to the community manager and reported. So I said no.
Okay, all right. Okay, I don't have any further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Okay.
All right, anything further on behalf of the people?
No, Your Honor.
The people rest?
The people that rest, Your Honor.
All right, anything on behalf of the defendants?
Yes, Your Honor, this time the defense is calling, Brenda Jones.
Okay. Ms. Jones, please stand. Say your name for me.
Brenda Lee Jones.
Ms. Jones, do you understand you have a right to remain silent?
Yes, I do.
Is it your intention to give up your right to remain silent and to testify in this case?
Yes.
Ma'am, do you understand that anything you say, I will use in my decision anything you say, I will use to make my decision, whether it's in your favor or not. You understand
Yes.
that? Has anyone threatened you in any way or promised you anything to get you to give up your right to remain silent?
No.
Do you understand that the right or the decision to testify is yours and yours alone in consultation with your lawyer, but the ultimate decision is yours?
Yes.
You had an opportunity to discuss this decision with your lawyer,
Yes.
and is it your decision to testify?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do.
All right, you can come around this way. And you're gonna take a seat right here with the spot. All right, Ms. Stevenson.
Good afternoon, ma'am, please say your name for the record.
Brenda Lee Jones.
And Ms. Jones, we are going to go directly to this incident. Do you recall, the date of April 27, 2023?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and on that date, were you at 7800 East Jefferson in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
That's the River Tower. What's located at that location, that address?
The River Tower Apartment.
Okay, and, where do you live? Where did you live on the date of this incident?
The River Tower Apartment.
Okay, can you describe what kind of, facility River Tower Apartment is?
It's a senior building.
Okay, do you know about how many residents live there, about?
No, I don't.
Okay, do you know how many floors there are?
It's 15 floors.
Okay, you know about how many apartments are in each floor, you know?
It's about 15 or 16 on each floor.
Okay.
Some floors may have 12 or 13.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Okay, so do you recall, coming into contact with anyone on April 27, 2023 that would bring you to court today?
Yes, I do.
Who did you come into contact with that would bring you to court today?
Helen Gentry.
Can you describe the contact or the nature of interaction you had with Helen Gentry on the day of this incident?
I had dropped the package off to a lady on the 4th floor. I went back to the elevator, pushed the button to go down. I had a little shopping cart, like a CVS cart.
Can you please describe that cart that you had?
It was the CVS, a little small red and silver cart.
Okay, all right.
When I pushed the button for the elevator to go down, the door opened, I proceeded to go in there with the cart. I was in the freight elevator.
And what happened when you proceeded to go into the elevator?
I seen Helen Gentry and she said, "You're supposed to let the people out of here before you get in here." I didn't say nothing, I just kept on to the back of the freight elevator.
Okay,
Helen Gentry got out the elevator, where the door was closed, she called me a black VIPC.
and then what? So you left the elevator? Is that what, or no, you went into the elevator?
Correct.
Okay, and in the elevator, you did see Helen Gentry leaving the elevator?
Yeah,
Okay, and then without telling us anything that was said, you're saying that Ms. Gentry did say something to you?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And, what did you do, if anything, after this was said to you?
When the elevator door closed, she said what she said, it went down, I went on about my business.
Okay, all right. So do you recall, seeing Helen Gentry after this incident?
She come past or come out the second floor, go down the steps, or she comes to the lobby and goes on about her business.
Okay, and after this incident, do you have any other interactions with Helen Gentry? Oh, just-
No, I don't.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
The objection is sustained and, okay, cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Jones.
Good afternoon.
So, Ms. Jones, I just want to ask you a couple questions regarding this incident. If you need me to repeat my question, or if you can't hear me, just let me know, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so, Ms. Jones, how long have you known Ms. Gentry?
I've been in the building about 9 years.
Okay, so how long have you known Ms. Gentry?
I know of Ms. Gentry.
How do you know of Ms. Gentry?
I've seen her in the building, you know. And, I do, like she said, I work at the front desk and I have a list of the residents that stay in the building.
Okay, and what do you do at the front desk? You said you work at the front desk?
I'm a ambassador.
Okay, and what does that consist of? I'm sorry.
I help the residents out. I take packages to people. Go to the store for people.
Okay, and prior to this incident, did you have an incident with Ms. Gentry?
What do you mean prior to this incident?
Prior to April 27th of 2023, have you had any incidents with Ms. Gentry?
Not after, no, I haven't
No,
had any,
before.
I haven't had any incidents with Ms. Gentry.
Okay, so you don't know Ms. Gentry personally, correct?
Correct,
And Ms. Gentry has never said anything to you, correct?
correct.
Okay. Now, when you're at the front desk, do you see Ms. Gentry walking by?
Occasionally,
Do you say anything to her?
no,
Does she say anything to you?
no,
Okay. Now, this position that you have, is it an ambassador?
yes.
Okay, how do you get that position? How was one appointed to that position?
They was asking for bachelors for the building.
Who was that?
They have, I've been doing this for years. Well, actually, Susan, the lady, she works at, the management company.
Okay,
They was having, like, they had meetings with the residents downstairs, and they was asking for ambassadors, and she asked me to be one. That's what I would be.
okay. And so would Ms. Gentry be at these residency meetings?
I don't even go to them no more.
Well, prior to this incident date, was she at the residency meetings?
Yeah, she used to be down there.
Okay, and would you see her down there at the residency meetings?
Yes, I see her down there.
Okay, now, did she ever, have an opinion about you being the ambassador?
Objective speculation. Your Honor.
Not as I know.
Hold on. Oh, that's the speculation. You asked her, is she having a, well, I take that back, the way the form of the question, I agree.
Oh, I'll rephrase the question, Judge. Did Ms. Gentry ever say anything to you regarding you being the ambassador?
No,
Okay, so she never had an issue with you being in this position?
she never said anything. She don't talk to me. I don't talk to her.
Okay, but you've seen her on prior occasions, is that correct?
I've seen her go past in the lobby and through the building, yes.
Okay, and how do you feel about Ms. Gentry?
I refuse to answer that because of Ms. Gentry. I never had.
You can't refuse to answer a question, maybe you're
Listen to
understanding.
me carefully.
Oh, no, let's not do that. Okay, so number one, she is correct. You cannot refuse to answer the question.
Okay,
Number two, she's in charge of the questioning. So don't,
I have nothing.
hold on and don't interrupt me. The question is, how do you feel about Ms. Gentry? Was that the question?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your answer?
I have nothing against Ms. Gentry.
Okay, so you didn't have any prior feelings regarding Ms. Gentry before this incident on April 27th?
That's correct.
And you never said anything to Ms. Gentry prior to this incident on April 27th?
Correct.
Okay, now what floor of the building do you live on, Ms.
I stay on the 7th floor.
You stay on the 7th floor, okay. And you said you stayed there for about 9 years? Do you live with anyone?
I stay with my husband.
Okay. May I have one number, you may. So, Ms. Jones, regarding the incident on the elevator, you testified to Ms. Stevenson that you were getting onto the elevator with your shopping cart?
Correct.
Okay, where was Ms. Gentry when you were getting onto the elevator?
She was in the front corner over there where the button fit. You couldn't even see her until I pushed her car halfway in the elevator and she outburst.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So you're saying when the elevator door opened, you couldn't see Ms. Gentry?
No, she was way over in the corner. It's a big elevator. She was standing back in the corner.
Okay, and,
Once I got inside the elevator, I seen her over there.
okay, and then what happened once you got inside of the elevator?
She stated you're supposed to wait till the people get out the elevator before you get out.
Was she still inside of the elevator?
Yes.
Okay, and you, at this point, you were in the elevator?
Correct.
Okay, so do you know how long, well, let me ask this way. Do you know how much time passed before Ms. Gentry got off the elevator?
She got off after I got in, she got off the elevator and went on out the elevator.
Okay. And you didn't say, your testimony is that you didn't say anything to Ms. Gentry?
No, I did not.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Anything further on behalf of the people? I'm sorry, not the people. I apologize for being on the
Defense rights, Your Honor.
okay, defense rest. Any rebuttal on behalf of the people?
No, Your Honor.
Are we ready to close an argument?
People are ready.
All right, then let's go.
Great, thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, the court heard testimony from the complainant witness regarding the incident that happened on April 27th, 2023. And during the testimony from Ms. Gentry, Your Honor, what stuck out to the people is that Ms. Gentry was very detailed in her testimony. Ms. Gentry gave the court, painted a picture for the court as to the details about what happened on that day, Your Honor. Ms. Gentry told the court that she was on this elevator with her small, little carriage that she carried her personal items with. She was getting on the fourth floor. She testified that she came into contact with Ms. Jones. She testified that she tried to get off the elevator and Ms. Jones rammed her shopping cart into her while she was on the elevator. She testified that she was pinned, between the shopping cart and the wall, and it kind of pinned her on the left side of her body between her hip and her thigh area. Your Honor, she also testified to the court that when she got off, she immediately went to her unit. She tried to put some alcohol on the area where she was hit with the shopping cart. And then she testified that she reached out to her social worker, a medical director, and then eventually she went down to the 7th precinct to make a report. Again, Your Honor, the testimony was very detailed. Ms. Gentry told the court that she went down to the 7th precinct on May 9th of 2023. She testified that the precinct was located on Shane and Hale. She testified that she wrote up a statement and gave it to the police, and essentially her statement was the same as the testimony that she gave today in court. And Judge, that's important again, because it goes to Ms. Gentry's credibility as to what happened on that day and what Ms. Jones did to her with that shopping cart. Again, I'm asking the court to just keep in mind the jury instructions, which says that the trier fact is to consider all, some, or none of what the witness is testifying to, Your Honor. And I'm gonna ask this court to actually take into accountability everything Ms. Gentry told this court, which was the truth as to what happened on that day, Your Honor. Ms. Gentry also testified that she never made a prior incident report regarding Ms. Jones before this incident. She testified that she even tries to avoid Ms. Jones when she sees her in the lobby, because Ms. Jones does hang around the lobby or the security desk downstairs. And that's important again, Judge, because that goes to show that Ms. Gentry has no reason or motive to fabricate anything that she told this court. She didn't have a prior altercation with Ms. Jones. She didn't make a prior report about Ms. Jones. She tries to avoid Ms. Jones at all costs because Ms. Jones is always downstairs at the security desk, being the ambassador of the apartment building, Your Honor. Again, that goes to show Ms. Gentry has no motive to lie or fabricate the story that she brought to the court, Your Honor. And again, I'm asking the court to take into consideration that Ms. Gentry's testimony was very detailed. And Ms. Gentry's memory was very, I'm looking for the word, Judge. It was very good for the age that Ms. Gentry is. I think Ms. Gentry told me first she was 97, I believe now. And this incident happened a year ago, Judge. So for her to remember these details, Judge, either Ms. Gentry is a really, really good fabricator, or that this event really did happen, Judge. And I'll ask the court to go with the latter, Judge, because the detail of her testimony goes to her credibility and the truth about what happened. With that being said, Your Honor, I'm gonna ask the court to find Ms. Jones guilty of count 1 assault back. Ms. Stevens.
So,
No, ma'am. Ms. Gentry, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Ms. Stevens.
as I always say with these cases, the people have a burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that, that events transpired the way, the complaining witness says they transpired. All you have, Your Honor, is the testimony of one person against the testimony of another person. Ms. Jones has no burden of proof. She doesn't have to take the stand. She doesn't have to expose herself to the cross-examination. But she also doesn't want this court left with the impression that she rammed her a shopping cart into the body of her elderly neighbor while she's in the elevator. She doesn't want the court thinking that that's the kind of person that she is. It sounds like Ms. Gentry doesn't like Ms. Jones because Ms. Jones is social. It sounds like Ms. Gentry has diagnosed Ms. Jones as being mentally ill because Ms. Jones is social. It sounds like Ms. Gentry avoids Ms. Jones because Ms. Jones is social. There are no cameras in the elevator. There are no independent witnesses. There's nothing more presented as evidence to help the people meet their burden of proof, other than this clearly biased witness who just doesn't like Ms. Jones because Ms. Jones is sociable, who believes that Ms. Jones is mentally ill because Ms. Jones is sociable. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's a big building. Ms. Gentry has a right to interact with whomever she wants to interact with, but somebody else should have, if Ms. Jones, caused all this commotion in this elevator on the date of this incident, somebody else should have seen something. Somebody else should be here to support her position that she was the victim of this felony that she described. Just seems like she wouldn't have waited. Ms. Jones, Ms. Gentry is very, very, very intelligent. Seems like if she really believed she was the victim of a felony, she wouldn't have waited about 9 days to go to the police. She wouldn't have believed that she had to go through this chain of command, starting with, I think, her social worker, and then down to the apartment managers, and then to the police, to let the authorities know that there's a felon loose with a shopping cart. And so it doesn't make any sense. Even if the court thinks that Ms. Gentry's story does make sense, Ms. Jones' story also makes sense. That Ms. Jones was doing her ambassador work delivering packages. She presses the button to get into the elevator. The freight elevator door opens. She gets into the freight elevator, larger than the other elevators by Ms. Gentry's testimony, so that when Ms. Jones goes in, she doesn't even see that Ms. Gentry, a smaller woman, is over there. She says she's 5'3", and she's over there in the corner. She goes into the elevator, Ms. Gentry says something, and then Ms. Gentry leaves out of the elevator, and then that's the end of their interaction. There's no testimony that the doors are stopping or jamming or anything like that because there's people in there jostling, nothing like that. People have not met their burden of proof, and the evidence coming from the testimony of this one witness is sufficient to outweigh the presumption of innocence with which Brenda Jones is quote, and I would ask the court to find her not guilty.
For the people, I don't know if you have a vote, but your witness was trying to pass you something. And so I don't know if you want to see what she's trying to pass you, if it's relevant to your vote.
It's probably.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, what's interesting is that, Sister Counsel brings up how Ms. Gentry has the dislike for Ms. Jones. And, the court heard the testimony from Ms. Gentry, and I can say that Ms. Gentry is pretty vocal about how she feels. However, Your Honor, what's interesting to the people that when Ms. Jones got on the stand, and the people asked Ms. Jones how she felt about Ms. Gentry, she told the people that she refused to answer that question. And I bring that up, Judge, because Ms. Gentry was vocal about not knowing Ms. Jones. She was vocal about trying to avoid Ms. Jones, but Ms. Jones refused to answer how she felt about Ms. Gentry. And Judge, that just goes to show the credibility in the testimony between the defendant and the complainant, because Ms. Gentry told the court exactly what happened. She gave the court her opinion, even though it was unsolicited. However, Your Honor, she was truthful as to this court about what happened. And what's interesting is that Ms. Gentry testified that she'd seen Ms. Jones prior to this incident. She's seen Ms. Jones since she moved in, and she never once made a report about Ms. Jones. And that goes to show that on this day, that the testimony that Ms. Gentry gave to this court can only be but the truth. Because if it wasn't, Judge, Ms. Gentry would have got off that elevator and went about her business like she usually does when she sees Ms. Jones, Judge. And that did not happen on this day. Ms. Jones and Ms. Gentry, there's some animosity between the parties, but I'm asking the court to take both testimonies, and I'm asking the court to find Ms. Gentry more credible than the testimony that Ms. Jones gave, Your Honor. And again, Judge, Ms. Gentry testified that she got off on the fourth floor. She said that nobody was on the elevator. She said that she looked around on the floor when she got off and nobody else was in the hallway. It was just her and Ms. Jones. So it goes from the people's witness versus the defendant's word about what happened. And Your Honor, as this court knows, the jury instructions for assault and battery does not require the people to have multiple witnesses. The jury instructions don't require the people to have medical records. The jury instructions do not require the people to have any proof of injury when it's regarding assault and battery. And with the one witness that the people did present to this court, Your Honor, I'm asking the court to find Ms. Jones guilty of assault and battery as those elements were met with the one witness of testimony from Ms. Jones. Thank you, Your Honor.
Court has had an opportunity to consider the charges against Ms. Jones, testimony of witness, arguments of counsel. People have the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about April 27, 2023, at or near the location of 7800 East Jefferson, the city of Detroit, within the county of Wayne, that Brenda Lee Jones committed one count of assault or assault and battery against Helen Gentry. In order to meet its burden, the people submitted one witness. The defendant then gave up her right to remain silent and testify in this case. Court makes the following findings of fact, and then will render its verdict. The individuals live in the same apartment building which Ms. Gentry has lived in apparently far longer than Ms. Jones. At some point, Ms. Jones became an ambassador for the building, and she was at the
security desk. On this particular day, the two ladies found themselves in the same elevator. And then that's the only, consistency in their rendition of the fact that well, that's not the only, they found themselves in the same elevator and one of them had it was referred to as a carriage, but I'm gonna call it what it really is, a grocery cart. So one of them had a grocery cart and the other one had, what she described as like one of those little, grocery thing where you go to the grocery store and put your grocery in there so you can, bring it on the elevator. All right. This, probably has been one of the most interesting trials I've had in a long time, to say the least. Ms. Gentry, who has served her country and, has lived a long life, testified, and she was, very, colorful in that testimony. She described an incident on the elevator where she says that Ms. Jones rammed this cart into her, and I don't know, I chose not to ask questions during this trial. Sometimes I don't like to ask questions during a bench trial, because I am a trier of fact. I was hopeful perhaps that maybe a few more questions would have been asked about that elevator. So what I know about the elevator is that it apparently was the freight elevator, the service elevator, and that it was at least double the size of the regular elevators, and that there was probably clearly enough room on the elevators for not just the two carts that were described to me today, but probably two big grocery carts could sound like could fit on the elevator. So I make the following observation. The jury instruction, as Ms. Ritter indicated, allows the trier of fact to believe all, none, or part of any person's testimony. It also gives instruction with respect to judging the credibility of every witness. And then it says use your everyday experience, common sense and everyday experience. So this is what my common sense and everyday experience tells me. My common sense and everyday experience tells me that at some point, Ms. Gentry decided that she didn't like Ms. Jones. And it started early on. I don't know, she said she remembered to the day, almost 2 to 3 days when Ms. Jones moved into the apartment, but Ms. Jones said she had lived there for 9 years. So perhaps what she remembers is the date that she started seeing Ms. Jones at the security desk. And then at some point, perhaps Ms. Jones interjected herself into something that concerned or was dealing with, or that Ms. Gentry was speaking to security about. Ms. Gentry didn't like that. She didn't like it. And she reported it to the, I was gonna say administration, but management. She reported it to management. Now, for some reason though, after the testimony went on and Ms. Gentry was asked about prior reports, other than this particular incident, she said she didn't make any reports, but she did make a report. Based on her testimony, she made that initial report about Ms. Jones dipping her nose where it didn't belong in her business. And she said she reported that to the management. And then after she reported that to the management or something, they didn't remove her from being the apartment ambassador. And they continued to allow her to be the apartment ambassador and deliver the packages and this things and such. And then on this particular day, they found themselves at this elevator. And I make this observation, and I agree with Ms. Stevenson that Ms. Gentry is sharp. She's sharp. She puts everything in writing. She writes dissertations for the court. She put her stuff in writing. She wrote out what happened. She wrote the complaint. She wrote it out, and she gave it to people. She gave it to the department. She gave it to the prosecutor. She gave it to the police. She gave it to people, and she detailed this scenario. She, I suppose previously, served this country. I'm assuming nobody brought it up, but of what type of discharge she received. She's a social worker, she deals with, mental patients. And she decided that Ms. Jones was mentally ill. She decided that Ms. Jones was mentally ill, and that at some point, I suppose she didn't want to deal with Ms. Jones. Now, it appears to me, and I hope, and I hope and pray, I hope and pray that when I am that age, my mind will be as sharp. I do. I hope that my mind will be as sharp. But I believe that perhaps because of the, I don't know, the feelings towards Ms. Jones, that there could be some embellishment. Do I believe I believe Ms. Jones don't like Ms. Gentry either, but I don't know when that started. Today she don't like her, I know that. But I don't know when that started. I do find it a bit difficult in my processing to believe that if the attack occurred in the elevator in the manner in which described by Ms. Gentry, I'm having a hard time believing that a couple of the first calls that an individual would make would be to 911 to report it to the police. And I'm not even talking about the precinct. I'm saying I'm a senior citizen. I've been attacked in an elevator by a person who lives in my building. That sounds like a 911 call. That sounds like a 911 call. And then I don't know, if Ms. Gentry has, what her family situation is. But that sounds like a 911 call, and then a call to her social worker and maybe the elder abuse. That was a good call. But I also was concerned in my processing that the elder abuse unit, I'm assuming of the state of Michigan, would advise a senior citizen of Ms. Jones's age and maturity that they first have to report an attack in an elevator to their manager. And if they told her to report it to the manager, I can't imagine that a manager at an apartment is only coming in every 5 days. Now, the main manager may have been on vacation, because people are entitled to vacation and should take vacation. So if the main manager was on vacation, what I am certain of is that there was a substitute manager, an assistant manager, an office, somebody that could handle issues that arrived in the building, and that one would not have to wait 5 days for a manager to come off vacation to report what Ms. Gentry described as a felony attack with a deadly weapon in the elevator. And I agree that a shopping cart can be used as a deadly weapon, I agree. And so if I'm attacked by a deadly weapon in the elevator, and I do hold a protected status in society because of my age, I am going to immediately call the police. And I'm going to report it to the police on 911. And then I'm gonna report it, perhaps if I have a social worker, then I'll report it. I definitely would bring it to the attention of the managers. And so I'm just not convinced. Now, do I believe that something happened at that elevator? I do. I believe that somebody said something to somebody. And what I have a hard time also believing is that the feisty, spirited, articulate, well-informed person that testified today with respect to what happened, and the anger that she feels about being attacked, according to her testimony by Ms. Jones, I have a hard time believing that she walked quietly out of that elevator and walked quietly to her apartment and quietly put pen to paper. I believe that the person I saw today testifying would have began to yell in the hallway, would have yelled for help in the hallway, would have said, she mentally ill, she attacking me, something other than a calm. She said she walked quietly. Her testimony was that she walked quietly away from that elevator after being brutally attacked by Miss Jones with a deadly weapon that this matter, in her opinion, should have been charged as a felonious assault. So using my common sense, everyday experience, I don't believe that those facts line up with what may have occurred at that elevator, and the court is going to, the judge, and adjudicate Ms. Jones not guilty of assault or assault. Ms. Jones, you can, the other defendant. So Ms. Jones, you can have a seat on the back row, and we will get you a copy of the dismissal for your records.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, please. Do we have an applicant? Ms. Royal Douglas. All right, so back to Ms. Royal Douglas. Case number 224440301. All right, so Ms. Stevenson, I believe you had a motion, a request on the floor with respect to Ms. Royal Douglas's ability to remain living in a place that she didn't have permission to live. Okay?
And Your Honor, we offer as an apology to the court whatever insight, mistake Ms. Royal Douglas is responsible for. It sounds to me like she came and was arraigned in person on the first floor, and that she got bond papers. The ones that I saw in the file don't have her signature on them, so she said she didn't get those. I know that Ms. Royal Douglas now understands that she can't be out of the state without the express permission of the court. Now, we do make that request at this time. She doesn't have safe, stable housing here in the state of Michigan. She does have a way, as she's already demonstrated, to be in court if that is the in person, if that's the order of the court. So I am asking the court for permission for her to return to the state of Ohio. And I'm also asking the court to consider allowing Ms. Royal Douglas to appear for sentencing via Zoom. If that is not forthcoming, she knows how to come to court on Zoom, come to court in person, Your Honor. So I'd ask the court to let her go back to Ohio to live and come to court on Zoom for a sentence.
Judge, the people are gonna ask the court to deny Ms. Thompson's motion with respect to Ms. Royal Douglas living in Ohio at this time. I will ask the court if before we can revisit this after sentencing, but just due to, what the court experienced during this trial, Your Honor, the day of the trial, Ms. Royal Douglas was not present, so that just raises the flight risk for the people. We just want to bring this case to the conclusion that the jury already gave their verdict. And we just want the case to be over.
Yes, Roy Douglas has made numerous bad decisions. She, even up to yesterday, made bad decisions. Um, and, did she already go across the hall with the board of precincts investigation? Um, um, I agree with people. I'm gonna say, I agree with people. And I'm just, in my mind, trying to process. What I'm going to attempt to do is see if probation can do a recent investigation today and reset her sentencing for tomorrow. And then I can get a verbal report. I'm wore out and tired, but I'm. All right. So I have a special request and I want to take it any way possible. Do you have anyone available to do a precinct report for me today? I'm not asking you to type up the report, but then to come in court tomorrow and give me a verbal report, like I really just want, for example, the MIBryant, I want, any sort of background information that they can give me. And then they can come and give me a verbal report tomorrow. Is that possible? Okay, so I'm going to send an individual over, her name is, Shirley Boyle Douglas. Case number is 22444. All right. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do, is promise if you can accommodate me, she's gonna drug test today, she's gonna go through, yes, they're gonna do an interview, and then somebody's gonna give you a report tomorrow, so we won't have a written recent report, but I just wanna get some background information. Because, you know, quite frankly, I'm concerned, and here's the thing, let me tell you this. So, throughout this whole process, I literally have been thinking in my mind that if she's convicted, I'm sending her to mental health treatment court. Throughout this whole entire thing, I said, if she gets convicted, I'm gonna send her to mental health treatment court. So your request goes against that. Your request goes against me sending her to mental health treatment court. But Miss Royal Douglas has some issues. She's made some very bad decisions. I had a brief opportunity to speak to the jurors, and one of the jurors said, Judge, I was real concerned about the fact that that child was in court. And I said, I don't know how that's going to play. And the child was on the screen. So you giving testimony against yourself. The child is in the store while they stand. They found her guilty of stealing. And we see the child on the video. And now the child is in court. And then of course they wanted to know what happened Monday. Why did they have to come back Wednesday? She's made some just bad choices. So what I'm saying to you is, we're gonna have the sentencing tomorrow. When I see the precinct's report,
then I'll give my answer. But what I'm saying, I don't know what you mean by she doesn't have safe, stable housing. I don't know what you mean, and maybe, for sensing, you could give me some more information. But mental health treatment court can help her with all of that. Mental health treatment court can help her get stable housing, they can help her get whatever situated, whatever it is. But I don't know that I'm gonna let her go and just be the loose making bad decisions in the world. She's made some horrible ones. But let's see what tomorrow brings. So I am open. I have not made up my mind. I have not made up my mind. But I'm going to also say this, if I have to issue a warrant on this case, I'm gonna tell you right now, the bond is gonna be 25,000 cash plus GPS tether and house arrest. That's what I'm telling you. Everybody has a right to a trial. Everybody has a right to exercise their right to a jury trial. But the shenanigans that went on for this jury trial should never have happened. And the only reason I didn't take her into custody when she came, when she came with that child and sent that, the only reason I didn't is because it was a jury. That's the only reason I didn't. So let's make some better decisions. Let's make some better choices. But I need to see what is the appropriate sentencing for Ms. Royal Douglas. And it may not include going back to Ohio. So I also, in that wise, need to reach out to mental health treatment court to see if the resources that I think they have. Ooh, somebody early for court, we haven't even finished the morning, I forgot we had afternoon. Okay, so anything further?
No, thank you, thank you.
Just 1 second.
Give probation a chance to
I don't have anything further.
Okay, so I'm gonna set sensing at 11 tomorrow. What is it I need? What's that sensing at 11? Because I'm asking probation for something special.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, let's set it at 11. All right, is the Zoom getting ready to shut down for you?
I'm gonna have to restart it, yeah.
But you just gotta restart yours, but if I'm the host, it's not gonna shut it down.
No.
Okay.
I just, no.
Cause we're gonna take a look. All right, then we're all set. Officer Bennett, you can escort her across the hall. Ms. Palmer, they're expecting her.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna recess, Ms. Gibson, it's up to you what time you wanna, Glad you see that while I'm packing up the file, fixing up things.
So it's stay open so I can.
Yeah, it's gonna be open, I'm leaving it open.
Okay.
Mr. The court is gonna get kicked out or he's gonna shut down, but if he shuts down and restarts, but he going to lunch.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna take about 15 minutes, I'll be right back.
That's so against the collective bargaining. All right, well, I'll be upstairs in my hall.
Okay.
So, Ms. Dixon, I mean, I'm not gonna probably log back on until at least 1:45, 1:50,
Okay,
so,
okay, thank you.
all right.
Ms. Stevenson, I'm sorry, since Bennett's not here.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Don't put me out with that.
This is what I gotta say. Are you, I mean, you won. Turn off, we've been.
Oh.
And I think the reason that's flashing is because,